Today, we're talking about how to optimize your health in Ramadan for real. I've noticed something after reverting many years ago and spending Ramadan with a very diverse range of brothers from various masajid, which is we hear a lot about the spiritual benefits of Ramadan, which are indeed incredible and the primary purpose of fasting. But when it comes to the physical aspects, there's so much confusion and misinformation out there that unfortunately continues to harm our health throughout the year. Many of us struggle with energy crashes, fat gain rather than loss, muscle loss, which by the way makes up a large portion of the weight loss, digestive issues, and difficulty maintaining our spiritual focus because our bodies aren't properly supported. We can even feel we've earned the right to eat wrong because we're fasting. I know I've been there myself many times, and so now I want to share what I've learned through both personal experience and research about how a carnivore diet, that's right, a carnivore diet, might be the ideal companion to fasting in Ramadan. Before I begin, I want to clarify two important things. First, carnivore is defined by most as being 80 to 90% beef and other sources of animal products making up the remaining 10 to 20%. And during Ramadan, eating a date or three for the sunnah, inshallah. And second, fasting in Ramadan is first and foremost an act of worship. The health benefits are a great bonus that Allah has built into the practice, but they're not the primary purpose. However, optimizing your health can help you worship better, so let's dive in, inshallah. When we fast for extended periods, our bodies go through several metabolic shifts. After about 8 to 12 hours without food, your body depletes its readily available glucose stores and begins to transition to using fat as fuel. This state is called ketosis, and it's actually a very natural and healthy metabolic state that Allah has created us with. During ketosis, your body produces ketone bodies, which provides a clean, efficient energy source for your brain and body. This is why many people say they get mental clarity and sustained energy once they adapt to fasting. But here's where many of us go wrong during Ramadan. Can you guess what that is? We break our fast with a massive influx of carbohydrates, seed oils, and sugar, which immediately spikes insulin, shuts down fat burning, makes us tired. We then drink caffeine, eat more carbs after Tarawih, then stay up late, further disrupting our metabolic state and health. And then what do? We brag about how we're exhausting ourselves for the sake of Allah, when we're actually exhausted from eating a lot of processed fake food. The Prophet, peace be upon him, and the Sahaba didn't feel the way we do after eating and praying, even on very little sleep, because the food we eat dictates the quality of sleep. And here's why we keep doing it, even though we know it's bad for us. This might be uncomfortable or triggering to hear, but it needs to be discussed. Carbohydrates may not be the ideal fuel during Ramadan. The science is becoming incredibly clear that when we consume high amounts of carbohydrates, especially refined carbs and sugars, our bodies experience rapid energy fluctuations that can be especially challenging during the fasting months. It's not just about willpower. When we eat carbs, they all convert to glucose in our bloodstream. Our body then releases insulin to manage this glucose, which can lead to energy crashes and hunger signals just hours later. Not what you want when facing another day of fasting. The key insight I've learned over years of struggling with this myself is that insulin resistance isn't actually the primary problem as I once thought. It's a natural protective mechanism. When our cells become resistant to insulin, they're actually protecting themselves from too much glucose, which can be toxic once it goes beyond what is needed. So the real issue is the excess carbohydrate consumption that forces our body into this protective state. This is where the carnivore approach comes in. By focusing primarily on animal-based foods like meat, eggs, and optionally some raw dairy, we eliminate the carbohydrates that cause insulin spikes and energy crashes. This approach works synergistically with fasting because, one, it maintains the ketosis your body enters during fasting rather than disrupting it. Just be sure to eat a sufficient amount of protein to bump your insulin just enough to help you retain electrolytes. 2, it provides complete bioavailable nutrition in a condensed feeding window. 3, it simplifies meal preparation when you're already low on energy. 4, it promotes satiety and feeling satisfied, making the fasting period more comfortable. So what does this look like in practice? Here's my evidence-based approach that has transformed my Ramadan experience. 1, rethink your iftar. Break your fast with water, a date or three for the sunnah, and bone broth. After Maghrib, focus your meal on nutrient-dense animal foods. Fatty cuts of meat like ribeye, ground beef, lamb, or chicken thighs with the skin. Then you have eggs, which provide complete protein and essential nutrients, and bone broth, which supports hydration and provides collagen. And for all of these, just salt to taste. You don't have to overdo it with the salt. It's not bad for you, but it can make you more thirsty, which you don't want when you're fasting. Second, focus on nutrient density and satiety. The key to making carnivore work during Ramadan is focusing on the most nutrient-dense foods possible. Beef provides vital nutrients like vitamin K2, B vitamins, iron, zinc, and all the electrolytes that are crucial when you're eating in a limited window. And don't fear animal fat. It provides essential fatty acids and fat-soluble vitamins that help keep you satiated during the fasting hours and optimizes your health. The fattier the meat, the better. 3, hydrate strategically. Between iftar and suhoor, aim to drink at least 2 to 3 liters of water and pace it out rather than chugging large amounts at once. And consider bone broth as part of your hydration strategy because it provides both fluids and electrolytes in a form that's slowly absorbed, helping you stay hydrated longer during the fasting hours. And 4, optimize your suhoor. For suhoor, focus on protein and fat that will sustain you throughout the day. Eggs with butter, leftover meat from iftar, or even a simple protein like canned sardines or salmon. These foods digest slowly and provide steady energy without causing the insulin spike and crash that comes with carbohydrate-heavy meals. And 5, prioritize sleep by trying to get to bed earlier rather than staying up all night. Sleep deprivation affects hormone balance and can increase cravings, making it harder to stick with the nutritional approach. I believe Allah designed our bodies with incredible wisdom. When we align our physical practices with our spiritual goals, we create harmony that enhances our worship. When we fuel our bodies properly, we have more energy for night prayers, more focus for Quran recitation, and more patience in our interactions with others. This is how physical health serves our spiritual purpose. Ramadan is a precious gift that offers both spiritual purification and an opportunity to reset our physical habits. By understanding the science behind fasting and making intentional choices about how we break our fast, we can experience this month as it was intended, a time of increased worship, energy, and clarity rather than lethargy and discomfort. I know the carnivore approach might seem a little extreme, but it's simply returning to nutrient-dense foods that humans have thrived on throughout history. Combined with the natural fasting pattern of Ramadan, it can create powerful health transformations. And remember that change doesn't happen overnight. If you've been struggling with unhealthy eating patterns for years, don't expect to transform everything in the first few days of Ramadan. Start with small changes, perhaps focusing first on removing sugar and processed foods, especially soda, then gradually transitioning to more animal-based nutrition. If you decide to do carnivore during Ramadan, I'd love to hear about your experience. So drop a comment below or at our Community for Muslim Brothers at the link in the show notes below, sharing what works for you or any questions you might have. Also, if you'd like me to create more detailed videos on specific aspects of the carnivore approach during Ramadan, let me know what you're most interested in. May Allah accept our fasting, prayers, and all our good deeds during this blessed month. And as always, may Allah reward you for being curious and keep tying your camel by eating carnivore in Ramadan. Assalamu alaikum.